Merry Christmas, everybody. Happy holidays. I hope you are having a safe and fun and festive and well-fed and maybe well-drank, well-smoked, whatever it is you do. I hope you're having a great holiday. This will be the last episode being published on the RTG feed here in 2024. I promise we'll be back in the new year. We'll be off to the races. We'll be talking video games and doing all the stuff that we do. But to wrap up 2024, I wanted to talk about my dog. We had to unfortunately put Molly down earlier this month. And I thought it was fitting that the last episode I recorded this year was a bit of a tribute to my best little friend and the CEO of Remember the Game Industries, who led us to great heights, my dog Molly. I will warn you, this one is a tearjerker. I get pretty upset. You may not want to listen to this one if you're working a floor at a retail set or whatever. If you don't want people to see you maybe cry. I don't know if you'll cry. I cried. Maybe you'll cry, maybe you won't. Just be careful where you listen to this one. And it should be ad-free. I just published this on Patreon a few days ago. I don't want to monetize my dog, so if there are ads playing in this, I apologize. I'll get it figured out. But it should be ad-free. Love your pets, love your families, love each other, love your friends, love life. Be well. Thank you so much for everything you've done for us this year. The reason Molly had one last year on this planet was because Remember the Game helped us pay our vet bills. So thank you all so much for everything. Have a great holiday, and we'll be back bigger, and I don't want to say better, but bigger, or bigger. We'll be back. We'll do this again, and we'll be back to talking video games and stuff in 2025. Happy New Year, Happy Christmas, and love your pets. You've been warned. You're gonna cry, maybe. So be careful where you listen to this one. Hey, everybody. This isn't going to be a normal rambling idiot. I don't plan to do any leftovers or anything like that. I'm not going to talk about the podcasts or video games. My plan is to release this on the Remember the Game feed, and I'm shooting for there to be no ads in it. I haven't set any ads up, so if anything is playing, I'll find out, and I'll make sure I take it down and just publish it somewhere else, because I don't intend to monetize this episode at all. I just want to talk a little bit about my dog. And if you don't have any interest in listening to a 41-year-old man talk about their dog for, I don't know if this will be 10 minutes. I don't know if this will be an hour. I have no notes. I haven't written anything down. I just want to ramble about Molly, my dog. So if you're not interested, I get it. There's 1,000 other episodes to listen to. What do you want me to say? All right. I assume most of you know, if somebody by chance doesn't, lasts a week today. I'm recording this Thursday morning, December 19th, which actually would have been Molly's 14th birthday, we think. A week ago today, we had to put Molly down. It's been a long time coming, for those of you that know, which is probably everyone that listens to this show. She's been pretty sick, since February. She was having some trouble standing up. She was really shaky. And so initially I took her in to the vet back in February because she seemed just shaky. And they thought she had an ear infection. She was having a bit of a hard time keeping her balance. She was kind of falling over. And they thought it was an ear infection. So they gave us some ear drops, and we were putting those in. She fucking hated them. And they weren't doing anything. She seemed to be getting worse. And so after a few weeks of those, we took her back to the vet. And I'll never forget, we took her to an emergency room veterinarian on the west end of Edmonton, which is 10, 15 minutes from our house. And it was at 2 a.m. And we took her in, and the vet took one look at her, and then they recommended we take her to a different veterinarian that was it was in Sherwood Park, which is on the far east end of Edmonton. And I'll never forget it. They skipped the triage or whatever it's called. They brought us right in when we got to the West End vet, and they took about a 90-second look at Molly and said, "You need to get to Pulse," which was the more specialist clinic on the East End. And I'll never forget, they said, "Go quick," and they just said, "Good luck." And that scared the shit out of us. And it was Shaylee and I. It was 2 or 3 a.m, and we fucking flew down the Anthony Henday is the highway here in Edmonton. We flew down that fucking road at 2 or 3 a.m. There's nobody around, and I was like, if we get a ticket or something, I don't care. I'll pay it. Photo radar, I don't care. We are flying, and we got her to Pulse, and they kept her there for 2 or 3 days, and then she got diagnosed with meningitis. And that was, I'm speaking, I am an idiot. Okay. So I'm speaking out of turn here, but I believe it's something to do with your body trying to fight an infection that isn't there or something. Please don't even write in. I don't care. Like, it's over now. Okay. I don't care I don't care if I'm wrong. I don't care. Basically, she entered into like a form of chemotherapy, and she was going for these treatments every month because they were trying to stop her body from trying to fight something that wasn't there, and it was causing some kind of pressure on her brainstem or something, and that was why she couldn't stand. And they didn't say it was a guaranteed death sentence, but they also didn't say, hey, no problem, couple of shots, and spit on it, put a Band-Aid on it, she'll be fine. They weren't sure if she was going to recover. So then we spent most of 2024 taking her in for monthly, I believe it's called crier injections, which were, she had to basically be left at the hospital or the vet all day. She got 4 injections. Again, it was like a form of chemotherapy, and it was really doing a great job. It was knocking down her meningitis. For those of you that have been listening and hearing the fucking roller coaster with Molly of, I'm like, hey, she's doing better. Hey, guys, if you got some thoughts, she could use them. Hey, she's doing better. Every time she seemed like this meningitis was putting her down for the count, she would get one of these shots and it'd be like Popeye with her spinach, and she would kick out and she'd be fine again. And then we ran into a couple instances. We had one really scary one during the summer where she ended up with this giant lump on the side of her neck. And they said what it probably was some form of a bacterial infection. Because she was on the treatment for the meningitis, her immune system was basically non-existent, so it wasn't able to fight this off. So then we had to pull her off the meningitis treatment and put her on a different treatment to treat this bacterial infection. So we did that, but then meningitis came back, so then we had to get her back on the meningitis, which, and it was, they were like, this bacterial infection is going to kill her before the meningitis does, so we got to wipe that out. Then it was back on the meningitis. And I know some people had written in and been like, hey, I hope she's not suffering. Don't let her suffer, which I don't think there was any ill intention by anyone that sent those messages in, but those did kind of irritate me because I was like, I am an idiot, but I'm not an idiot. Like, I'm not going to let my poor dog suffer. She was doing really good this year. Her walks got shorter. At times we had to take her for carries instead of walks, but she was still playing in short doses. She was still walking around. She was doing okay. And then, she started losing a lot of weight a couple of months ago, a lot of weight. And it sucked because she was putting on weight. Like, she was getting tubby. That's why we were calling her Porky Pampered Puppy Princess, because she had to wear dog diapers sometimes and she was getting fat. So Porky Pampered Puppy Princess. But then she started losing weight really bad. And then we took her into the vet again to have them look at that. And it turned out her kidneys were failing. So they tried a couple other things to try to knock that down. And it got to the point here in the last 6 weeks or so that we had Molly, I think she was up to 11 daily medications, plus Shaylee and I had to give her an IV at night. And I have to give Shaylee 1,000,000,000% credit for that because I couldn't do it. Shaylee was the rock star. That was poking her with the needle. I just had to hold her every day. And she battled back for a little while, but unfortunately things were just not going well. And then finally, we took her in a few days ago. So we had to put her down on Thursday the 12th. We took her in on the Monday or Tuesday of that week because she wasn't really eating, and she was skin and like fur and bones. Like, she wasn't gaining any weight, and all she was doing was sleeping. And this was the first time that this vet, who has been just the most positive person, that vet was a rock star for us. And this was the first time we heard him be like, okay, now we need to start talking about her quality of life. And unfortunately, for the last 48 hours or so, she just wouldn't eat. She ate one tiny serving of food and a couple of treats, which we didn't usually give her. And that was it. She wouldn't eat. She couldn't hold her head up. All she did was sleep. And we made the very difficult decision that Thursday had to be the day, Thursday the 12th. Frankly, we thought it would have been... I had comedy Christmas gigs Friday and Saturday night that I couldn't really miss. And we couldn't delay this until Sunday because honestly, she kind of died of dehydration or starving herself. Like, she wasn't doing anything. So that final day with her, Thursday, December 12th, Shay had to work, which again, she's a rock star because I don't know how she did it. I spent the day on the couch with Molly, and it was so bittersweet because I knew what was coming that night, and so I really just wanted to cherish the last day on the couch with this little bag of fur that's been my best friend for 13 years. And I know this is a rough start. I'm going to get kind of back into the history and the life and times of the CEO here. But we were sitting on the couch on the 12th, and she was just laying there. She's not eating. She's not drinking. She's not lifting her head. She wouldn't even sleep. She would just stare into space. Like the lights were on, but nobody was home. And she was a very timid dog. She was scared of everything. If you swore, if you clapped too loud, if you yelled, if there was a loud noise, she would scurry off. And at one point, we were sitting on the couch, and I dropped my phone, and it just landed kind of half on her, half beside her. And normally that would be enough to get her to jump up and be like, I'm getting the fuck out of here. And she didn't even move. She didn't acknowledge it. She didn't raise her head. And I was like, fuck. She's tired. I was saying to Shaylee in the last few days that we had her, I'd be like, I'm tired, boss. And she was tired. And so Shaylee got home from work and got to spend a little time with her. And then we took her in, and I kind of knew what was coming because about 20 years ago, I had to put my cat down, Tubby. And, I will never forget the feeling of sitting in that vet's room with Tubby, my cat, my mom and I, and them coming in and having to put her down. And so I knew what was coming. Didn't really make it any easier, but we all knew, and we brought her in, and they if you've never put a pet down, they brought her in like a little bed, and she had like the IV tube in her arm. They had taken her to the back and put it in. And they were like, spend as much time with her as you want. When you're ready, let us know, and we'll come in. And they inject her with 2 shots. The first one basically puts her to sleep, and then the second one stops her heart. Once she's asleep, it's painless, it's peaceful. Sorry. The whole thing's done in about a minute. And that was it. And we knew it was the right thing to do. She was sick. And, excuse me. And her quality of life just wasn't there anymore. But it sucks so hard, man. And I know so many of you have messaged me or left comments and said you've been through it too, and it's awful, and I wanted to get the sad part out of the way first so I could just talk about some of the good times. But we had Molly for about 13 years. And it's almost like going in, we knew that, and I don't mean going in on Thursday, I mean going into the 13 years. It's like, dude, you are going to have a friend for life. You are going to have a sidekick that you will never forget. You're going to have so many great memories. They're going to be there for you in the good times and the bad. But then, and it's going to be worth it. There's no price you wouldn't pay for this companionship. But then it's like the caveat is that there could be one day right at the end, and it almost makes it feel like it's not going to be worth it because it's going to hurt. Oh, it's going to hurt so bad. I can safely say in 41 years, December 12th, 2024 was in the bottom 3 or 4 days of my life. It was awful. And it's been a week, and I said I kind of want to pull back on the personal stuff that I share on this show moving forward. But I always knew in my heart that after Molly was gone, I would do some form of a show about her. And it's been a week, and I thought today, I'm pretty sure today was her birthday, the 19th. She would have been 14 today. And I thought, today's the day. I'm going to sit down, and I'm just going to laugh and try not to cry. I just talk about my best friend, who she's been by my side for, fuck. I don't know how many shows we've done. We've done about 1,000 podcasts in the last 6.5 years, and Molly has been laying beside me or behind me or somewhere in the room when I've been recording for probably 90+% of them. She is, it started as a joke that then became, she was the CEO of Remember the Game, and she really was. There were times where I had to, she wouldn't come in my office when I was playing games a lot of the time because I would get so mad, as all of you know. And that was the one thing, she wasn't scared of like thunder, She was scared of almost everything. She wasn't scared of the stuff dogs are actually scared of, like thunder and lightning storms and things. But if I swore and I was like, fuck, and I'd punch the desk or something, she was gone. And she'd be just shaking, scared of you. And I would never hit my dog in a million years. But she was scared of me. And so I had to kind of schedule my game sessions around when she would want to lay with me, because she always had to be on top of one of us. She hated not being around one of us. And Shaylee doesn't work from home every day. And I do. So if, I wanted her to be happy. I was like, well, she's the CEO. She's my best friend. I need her to be happy. And so sometimes that would involve just writing game patch, or responding to DMs, or writing a script for a show, or editing. Because the minute I picked up that controller, she was gone. Like, she literally called the shots around here. So I thought it would be a little bit fitting to just kind of say, I love you, puppy, on a show to wrap this up. So we got her about 13 years ago, a little more. She was my sister-in-law's. They got my nephew Ben. They got her as a puppy, and they already had a dog. And then they got pregnant, and it was a lot on their plate. And so they had left Molly with us for a week to dog sitter. Well, they went to visit some family, and then when they got back, they were like, do you guys want to just kind of keep her? And Shaylee and I've always liked animals, but we had no intention of getting a pet, much less a dog. And after a week with Molly, they were like, do you guys want to keep her? We were like, you bastards, you knew goddamn well we want to keep her now. We just fell in love with her from day one. And I used to joke that we had a love triangle going on, where Molly wouldn't stop following me around, but I was always trying to get Shaylee's attention. And Shaylee was like, hey, Molly, come over here, who wouldn't leave me alone. But we were in love with her right away. And when we first got her, we lived in this little apartment. We were saving up. We were trying to pay off our debts, and we wanted to try to save up enough money to buy a house. And fuck me, 13 years ago, I was 27 or 28. I'm 41 now. Like a third of my life, I've had that fucking dog. But we lived on the bottom floor. We didn't have a balcony, but our back door opened up onto like a courtyard, because it was like a block of apartments. And we let Molly out to pee or go to the bathroom. And we always had to put her on a leash, because she was a good dog. But the one thing I don't know if she never learned it, or she just didn't care. She never learned to come when you called her. And so you'd let her out. And if you let her off that leash, boy, it'd be like, hey, Molly, come here. And she would run like 5 feet away and then just stand there. And I'm sure most of you have seen the pictures I've posted her on Instagram and stuff. She always looked like she was smiling with her mouth open. And she would just stand there 5 feet away from me in that courtyard of that apartment and just look at me with that fucking shit-eating grin on her face if I let her out without a leash on. And then when I went to get her, she'd run. And she'd run like 5, 6, 7, 10 feet. She'd do this little deer hop. She'd run look like a deer, like galloping through the snow. Molly would just do this little hop, and then she'd turn around and look at you again and be like, come and get me. And I would chase her around that fucking yard forever. And it would get to the point where I'm like, I don't even want to fucking play anymore. Come back here. And like our neighbors would be out on their balconies just watching and laughing as I'd be chasing this fucking 6-pound little ball of go fuck yourself running around that courtyard. Oh, good times. And we used to have there was this couple that lived beside us. I can't remember their names now. I want to say Ed and Bernice. I don't remember. They were an older couple. And they had an old little dog too. And they loved Molly. And Molly would always go over there and they'd be like, oh, Molly, how are you? Everywhere we went, Molly made friends. Everywhere we went. She just loved everybody. She loved people. She loved dogs. She liked big dogs. Little dogs kind of creeped her out. She loved big dogs. We always thought that she thought she was big. She would love big, and a dog could be like snarling and barking, and she'd be like, I have to go over there and see that fucking dog. God help me if there's a sewer drain she was terrified of sewer drains, like sewer manhole covers, sewer drains, those black rubber ramps that you put on your curb to make it easier to drive up onto your driveway. I hope you know what I'm talking about. She was terrified of those. But big growling dog, she was like, hey, we could be friends. Come here. Come see me. And I'm fighting the urge to do the voice. I'm sure some of you that have animals do voices for them. I don't know if I've ever even done it on the show or not before, but I always had the Molly voice. And this was the Molly voice. And so she would just say things like, oh, shut up, get out of here. And I would do it. And like it got to the point where I would do it without even thinking about it. And she would just, I tried to write a stand-up bit about it once, about how I can say things through my dog voice that I can't say in real life. And Shaylee would be, she'd be like, hey, can you unload the dishwasher? And then the Molly voice would be like, oh, Shaley, fuck off. Like it was, and I was like, if I said that, she'd beat the shit out of me, but Molly could say anything. And she just made friends with everybody. So we lived in that apartment. I vividly remember one of the first days we had her in that apartment. We both went to work, and our landlord had slipped a note under the door. And Molly was a great dog. That little girl never chewed up anything. Like she didn't chew the walls, or like if you left something laying around, she wouldn't chew it up, or cords or anything like that. But one of the first days we had her, our landlord slipped a note under the door, and Molly attacked that note. I still have a picture of it on my phone somewhere, and we got home from work, and we come into the door, and there was just little bits of paper everywhere. And Molly just had that little shit-eating grin on her face, and she was just looking up at us like, hey, this note tried to break in, but I fucking got him. And she was so proud of herself that she killed this fucking note. We used to say, she's not sleeping in our bed, and that lasted 10 minutes. And then she slept in our bed. She always slept next to Shaylee. The only time she'd sleep against me is if Shaylee wasn't home. And then even then, half the time she would just sleep on Shaylee's pillow. I was her playmate. I would always... it's funny because anytime she wanted to walk or play, I would do it. She had me wrapped around her little finger. I would do everything that dog wanted. She'd look at me with those eyes, and I'd be like, all right, let's go. And I always used to say, the day is going to come where I'm not going to be able to take her anymore. Or she's not going to be able to go anymore. And I don't ever want to think I left a walk or a play session on the table. So I would walk that dog. That's, I think, part of the reason she lasted as long as she did. She had a food thing where she could only eat hypoallergenic food. So she didn't eat a lot of human food. So she had a good, clean diet. And I took her for 2 to 3 walks a day because I love walking and she loved walking. And I can count on... Probably could count on one hand the number of times I said no to a walk or a play with Molly if I had time. Because I knew the day was coming that we wouldn't be able to do it. So we used to walk all the fucking time and just fight. We would have the fights. I named all of her toys. Her favorite toy was Francis, which was his unicorn. And I'd be like, where's Francis? And it was after Deadpool, of course. And we would just wrestle for hours. I'd put her stuffed animals on my back and get on my hands and knees, and she wasn't tall enough to see on my back, but she'd get up on her hind paws and try to see if he was up there and then keep trying to jump up and get it. And near the end, we kind of taught her how to play fetch, and she'd run after her little tennis balls. God bless the person that invented little ping pong sized tennis balls for tiny dogs. She would go and get that tennis ball, and then instead of bringing it back, she would just sit there with it. And I'd have to walk over to her. Stupid dog. She didn't quite master fetch. Good times. So when we bought our first house, we had our first actual fenced in yard, and Molly had this fucking blue squeaker ball, and we would go up in that yard, and I would just stand there and whip that ball against the fence, and it would bounce back off and come back to me, and she would try to catch it or get it before it got to me. And once she got it, there was no bringing it back to me. Then I'd have to chase her in circles around that fucking yard until I could catch her to get that fucking ball back. And we would just play and I miss just playing with my fucking dog, man. Sorry. We barely had a health scare with her. We had one, it's fun. Ironically, I got one Christmas bonus from Uline. The 1 year I worked there through the holidays, I got a reasonable bonus. And right after I got it, Molly got her first kind of real sickness. And it turned out that was when we found out she had some digestive issues and she could only eat hypoallergenic food. And basically cost us my entire Christmas bonus to find out that we just couldn't give her anything but hypoallergenic food. She didn't even know the word treat because all she could eat was just the hypoallergenic stuff, and she didn't really like those treats. So we gave her a little bit of shredded cheese sometimes, and once in a while she'd get some rice. But other than that, all she ate was her regular food. And we didn't have any health problems with her until this past year. We were so fortunate with that little dog. She was just a little beast, man. You couldn't stop her. And She hated being in the car. Well, she loved when you say, hey, you want to go in the car? She gets so excited. But then she had to sit on your lap. So there was no putting her in the back seat. There was no opening the window and letting her stick her head out. She had to sleep on your lap. Even if you were driving, if I was the only one in the car and she was with me, she was in my lap while I was driving. She was such a little lap dog. Always, just always on top of one of us, you know? And, oh, fuck. I remember her playing with my buddy Andy's dog. He had a big dog. And I remember her and him, they loved each other. They'd play with each other and just run circles around each other. And I vividly remember Andy coming over one time with his dog. And he brought his dog's bed, which was like a big bed. Molly would never sleep in a bed. We got her 2 or 3 dog beds. And she wouldn't sleep in them. Sometimes she'd sleep on a blanket on the floor. Otherwise, she's always sleeping on the couch or on our bed or on one of our laps. Always. And we try to get her to sleep in a dog bed, just like not like at night, but just when she had nothing, you know, if we're like, hey, we're not going to be around for a little while, here's a bed, go lay in your bed. She would not sleep in that fucking bed. But then Andy and his dog came over and they had this giant fucking bed. And we have a great picture of it. And Andy's big dog is laying on the floor in our house and Molly has taken over his giant bed. And she's just like, this bed is like fucking 3 feet by 3 feet. And Molly's like 12 inches long. And Molly's just laying in the middle of this giant, she looked like a cherry on top of like a giant cookie or some shit. Like just a little dog in this giant bed. Ah, fuck. Good times. Sorry, this is proving harder than I thought it was going to be. Oh, man. I don't know what else to say. I think I'm just going to start bawling. So I think I'm just going to stop. I had to put out something. I just felt like I owed it to Molly. She is the CEO of Remember the Game. She's a fucking legend. We will miss her forever. Forever. I got to say thank you to everybody that has reached out over the years and asked how's she doing. Especially this past year since she got sick. Some of you have offered to contribute to her vet bills, which is very generous, but not necessary. One of you did, which was beyond anything we could have ever imagined. We went to the vet about a month ago to take Molly in and found out there was a very generous credit on our account because one of you in the States had called in and just put a credit on our account for our little dog. I'm so shocked. I wish she knew. I wish that little dog knew how many people on this planet were pulling for her and how many fans she had and what a meme she had become with the being of the CEO, and she was featured on our 5th anniversary merch, and the Game of the Year award we give out at the Blankies. Last year we named it the Molly because it's after the best for the best, by the best. Oh man, we spent so, I don't want to get into finances, but we spent a lot of money on Molly this year. A lot on vet bills. We set ourselves back financially a little bit to take care of her. And if you had told me years ago, hey, would you pay this amount for one more year with your dog? I would. And you know what? If I knew we could get one more year out of her next year with a reasonable quality of life, we'd fucking do it again. I cherished every day with that dog. I remember a few days before we put her down, just laying on the bed with her. And we just stared. It was the most surreal thing. We just stared into each other's eyes for about a minute and a half. And I didn't say anything, and she didn't move. She just laid there on her side. And I just laid there with her and just stared at her. And it was almost, I think she knew. I hope she knew. You know, I hope she knew that we adored that dog. Nothing was too good for Molly. She was our best friend. And we're going to move on, and we're going to be okay. And yes, we are going to get another dog. We used to say when we lost our dog, if Molly goes on a Tuesday, we're getting another dog on a Wednesday. And now that we're there, we're like, no, we need a break. My heart, and Shaylee's heart, our hearts are broken. And we need a little bit of time to heal up. God, we're gonna miss her. This house just feels empty. You know, we love each other, but and Shaylee, if you're listening to this, make no mistake, I love you. and you're my soulmate. You're my partner. But that dog, I didn't think it was possible to love a creature or to love anything as much as I love Molly. She was my best friend. She was the best friend I've ever had. And I'm sure I'll get another dog, and I'm sure we'll fall in love with that dog. But I will never, ever forget Molly. I have intentions of getting a tattoo of her on my arm. I think I'm going to get Rush from Mega Man, but with Molly's face on it. She was my little hero. We, last year, a charitable organization I did a lot of work with got me a painting. They commissioned a painting. And it's a beautiful painting. And I'd actually been interested in bidding on it at the fundraiser we were at. And the painting that I wanted to bid on was a little girl playing with a puppy. And the little girl was dressed up like a warrior. And the puppy was just kind of standing there in like an action pose. But the shadows they were casting behind them were of like this big, like, this fucking badass looking like Xena warrior princess. And the dog was a big wolf. And I just thought it was a beautiful painting. And I tried to win it, and I didn't have enough money, and I lost. And then my friend Kyle, who was the head of that organization, who unfortunately we lost this year as well. Kyle commissioned the artist to paint me a painting. And as a little boy in a backwards hat with a broom and a garbage can playing like a warrior, and and Molly. And the puppy in the painting is Molly with her harness that she used to wear when we take her for walks and everything. And then in the shadow, it's the guy is a warrior, and the puppy's shadow is a wolf. And that painting hangs in our living room. And it's just a beautiful gift from a great friend of a great friend. Kyle, this fucking year has sucked, man. 2024 has been rough. And it kind of just seems fitting that this fucking year would end with us losing Molly. 2024 could go fuck itself. The only thing I'll look back on 2024 with fond memories is this one last year. She got sick in February, and god damn it, man, she made it to December 12th. She tried so hard to make it to Christmas. One last year with our dog. And every time I walk by that painting, man, it just reminds me of her. And everything in this fucking house reminds me of her. This office reminds me of her. It feels so weird waking up in the morning and not having Molly laying there. And I miss taking her for walks, and I miss playing with her. And I miss my friend. So anyway, I'm going to go. Like I said, I know the show probably wasn't everybody's cup of tea. Thank you for all the nice messages, and thank you for everyone checking in on her. And it's really beautiful to know that so many other people like this puppy as much as I did. If you want to see pictures of her, my Instagram is AdamBlank17, and it says right in my bio, I only have Instagram to post pictures of my dog. And that's really all I did, and I don't know what I'm going to fucking do with it now. I don't know what I'm going to do with it now, man. If you have a pet, make sure you treat them nice, pay attention to them, get them a new toy this Christmas. If they ever, take them for that extra walk, play with them. If they want to go for a walk or they want to fight or play and you're like, I'm too tired, man, leave me alone. Just remember that, this day is coming. And we're so grateful that we got as much time with her as we did. And my heart goes out to people who, maybe your pet has run away or something. The idea of that, it rips my heart out of my chest. That happened to us when I was a kid with one of my cats. We were away on vacation, and our neighbor was feeding her, and they went over to feed them one day, and Fergie was our cat, and Fergie ran out and never came back. And the idea of that happening to Molly, I don't know if I might ever recover from that. So just make sure you spend some time with your pets. If you got one, love them because they love you. Boy, they fucking love you. They love you more than anything in this whole world. And Molly, if you, I mean, I don't know if you can hear this, but, it was a two-way street, pal. I know that we were your world and you were our fucking world too. I don't even think words exist to explain how much I love you, puppy. And I miss you. I miss you so much. And I will miss you forever. Thank you for being my friend. Thank you for being the best friend I could have ever asked for. And I hope I see you again someday. I love you, puppy. Hey, I warned you. I warned you. It was a tough episode. I've known ever since Molly started getting sick that someday I was going to dedicate a podcast to just her memory, I guess, and her legacy. Because she is a legend around here. A legend in my house, a legend in my heart, and hopefully she's touched a couple of yours as well. I really do swear, okay? New Year's Day, there won't be a Remember the Game, but there'll be something going up on this feed, and then we are back January 8th. With the next episode of Remember the Game, and my goal is to come back from holidays with a whole month of Remember the Game already recorded, and we'll be back in the swing of things. Secret of Monkey Island, Mega Man, Battle Networks, Rocket Knight Adventures, and Half-Life 2 is what we're shooting for in January. So I hope you have a great Christmas, have a great New Year's, be safe, all that stuff. Thanks again for all your support this year, and we'll see you in 2025.